What's up, guys? I appreciate you all tuning in. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Brandon, and over the past 6 months, I've essentially mastered personal development. I've been able to completely change my life, start waking up at 4 a.m., stop drinking, smoking, all of those things, and I do the same thing for other people and help them become their best physical and mental self. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is what life looks like after that, because people paint the picture online that personal development is like this terrible, treacherous path. I'm sure that's what you see. It's everyone screaming in their fucking car, talking about how you're a pussy and you need to work harder and all this shit. And it makes it seem like your life sucks after personal development. And that's not what I'm about. What I'm here to show you and explain to you is how incredible and luminous and how just magnificent life can be after you develop yourself and after you kill the old version of yourself. And to give you guys some backstory on where I'm coming from, I used to go out and drink 2-3 times a week. I used to smoke all the time. And those aren't problems, right? Those are not problems. You're probably thinking, what? Those are symptoms. They're symptoms of the fact that you don't like yourself when you're sober. They're symptoms of the fact that your life is a drag during the whole week, and then on the weekend you go out and party and hook up with girls because that's the only sense of life that you get. That's the problem. The drinking, the smoking, the going out, those are all symptoms. And I didn't understand that, right? Because for me, when I started this journey, I was going out a few times a week. I had been out of a relationship, got dumped. I was just depressed because of that. I was smoking all day because it was fun, right? It was easy, it was fun. But I didn't realize why I was doing it. I didn't understand why I was doing those things. And I realize now, it's because I didn't like myself. And what reason did I have to like myself? Because my problem was I would fall into those things. I'd fall into drinking and smoking. I'd feel regret, I wouldn't change it, and then I'd do it again because all I felt was regret and sadness. And it creates this endless loop, in a sense, of just self-hatred, self-loathing, and wanting to be better, but not being able to be better. And I understand how that feels because, like I said, 6 months ago, that was me. Not too long ago, that was me. I was going through those motions, I wasn't developed, and I didn't understand why I was depressed. I thought that it was just one of those things where, I'm in college, I might as well party. That's not my problem. But like I said, it wasn't a problem. It was a symptom of the fact that I hated who I was. And during this time as well, I really didn't have anything to be proud of. I had put on some excess fat. My body didn't look good. My skin was bad because I was drinking alcohol multiple times a week and I was eating all these unhealthy foods and I couldn't stick to a diet. I couldn't track my calories. I couldn't wake up early. I would sleep in and wake up hungover on the weekends. And I remember just when I'd wake up at noon on the weekend, I'd feel so terrible and I'd really have this desire to be I want to get after it so fucking bad today. But instead what I would do is I'd stay in my bed and I would just scroll on my phone and do nothing. I'd scroll on my phone all day and accept the fact that my day was completely wasted and it was time to move on to the next day because I had already failed. And no matter how badly I wanted to change, right? Because I had that desire, and I'm sure you have that desire if you're watching this. You have the desire where you want to change. And I had that so strongly, but I didn't even know where to start. I didn't even know what personal development looked like because I didn't understand how much it could truly change my life, right? I thought that if I cut out drinking and smoking, and if I cut out hooking up with girls, and I cut out unhealthy foods, and I woke up early and I went to the gym, I thought I would hate my fucking life. I thought my life would be so terrible because to the average person, that sounds like such a hard, terrible life. It sounds miserable. It sounds like it wouldn't be any fun. And that was my thought process too. I thought to myself, all right, life can't be that good after personal development. It can't be that good. But at the same time, I knew I needed to make some type of change. And what really tipped me and pushed me over the edge was my home living situation, right? Because one, I was working at a bagel shop, absolutely hating my fucking life. I was making $16 an hour. I didn't like that job at all. I fucking hated it. I was treated so poorly by customers and just hated getting fucking yelled at all day. And at my home, I remember seeing my parents struggle with money all the time, seeing them struggle with worrying about bills and crazy expenses coming up. And it just made me so sick to my stomach because how could they worry about that shit whenever I was literally just fucking off and drinking multiple times a week? I felt like such a loser. I felt like I was letting down my family because I was doing those things. And I wanted them to look up to me in a sense. That sounds weird, I guess, but I wanted them to look up to me and see me as that type of man. And I remember so vividly just the pain that I felt and the sorrow that I felt for myself because I realized that my parents had worked so hard to make me into an incredible man. They had tried so hard to raise me well. They tried to keep me away from drinking and smoking. They tried to keep me away from hookups. They tried to bring me to church. They tried to teach me all of these things, and I was failing them. And I realized that if I didn't change, I would continue to fail them every day. So I didn't personally develop myself because I thought life would look better. I personally developed myself to make other people proud and to make other people think that I was worthy. But as I went on with this journey, right, I cut out the drinking, I cut out the smoking, I stopped hooking up with girls. I realized that, like I said, it was all symptoms of the fact that I hated my life. When I started cutting those out, I realized that I stopped really caring what other people thought. I lost friends because my friends would go out all the time, and they wondered why I wasn't coming with them anymore. I lost friends because whenever it was time to join the blunt rotation, I was always out, and they didn't like that. They didn't understand why. And I started to lose more and more connections in my life, but I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel sorrow that I was losing these connections. I felt gratitude. I felt like I was starting to kind of love myself. I felt like I finally had some type of purpose and was able to, I guess, love the man that I was becoming in a sense. And this went on for a certain period of time where I'd lose more connections, but at the same time, I'd feel better and better about the fact that I was losing those connections. I would feel better and better about the fact that I didn't need to rely on somebody else to make me happy. I started to wake up early, right? That was the next big thing. I started to wake up early. I started to wake up at 6 and then 5, and now it's 4:20 a.m. that I wake up every single day. And I don't do that because it's easy. I don't do that because I think it makes me a better person. I do that because when I wake up and it's just me and my thoughts at 4:20 in the morning, getting ready for the gym, reading my Bible, I do that because I feel like a human being. I feel like I'm maximizing my potential, and I feel so much gratitude that I have the ability to be able to do that. And because I started doing that, waking up early, it pretty much pushed into every other area of my life. It made me feel better at the gym, more productive at the gym. It made it easier to stick to my diet. Because I was waking up early, I would go to bed early, and then I would turn away from lust. I wouldn't have a desire to go out and drink because waking up early gave me so much gratitude and made me feel so fucking blessed that I didn't want to give it up. I wasn't willing to stay out and drink or stay out and smoke because I knew I wanted to wake up at 4:20 because I had so much gratitude in the morning. When I'd wake up and it was completely dark outside, and how I do this every single day, I wake up and there's just nobody else out, and it's just me alone with my thoughts, feeling grateful for the world and grateful for the man I've become. And that's the other side of personal development. The other side of personal development is understanding that, one, you don't rely on anyone else to give you fulfillment. You don't rely on anyone else to make you feel gratitude, right? I finally, for the first time in my life, after developing myself, loved myself. And I didn't understand that. I had never loved myself before. I didn't know what it was like because I thought that I had loved myself. I thought that I had felt amazing about myself, but I didn't. I was lying to myself. I loved myself when I was going out on the weekends. I loved myself whenever I was pulling a girl and I was going to go hook up with her. I loved myself whenever I was high. I loved myself whenever I was eating all these shitty foods. And I loved myself whenever I was skipping the gym. But whenever I felt the repercussions of those actions, I absolutely fucking hated myself. I hated who I was, and I felt like a letdown. And once you develop yourself and cut those things out, you'll never feel like a letdown because the only person's opinion you care about is yourself. I'm not doing it anymore to prove to anyone anything. I don't need to prove it to my friends because the friends that I do have are just as developed as me, and the friends that I lost, well, they're staying in the same position. I don't have to prove it to my family anymore because they know and see that I'm the man that they raised me to be. They know and see that I'm the man that I'm destined to become, and because of that, I don't think about how they feel about me because I know that I am deserving. Once you personally develop yourself, you become worthy of happiness, and the happiness translates into every area of your life. I love going for walks now. I love grocery shopping. I love everything. I just love life. I love myself over anything. And I didn't think that that was humanly possible. I didn't think that I could be sober and love myself. I didn't think that I could be away from girls and celibate and love myself and stop watching porn and love myself. But I can. And you can too. Because self-love comes from development. And I didn't understand that for so long. And if I would have understood it years ago, I wouldn't have fallen back into my old habits again and again and again and again. Self-love only comes when you are deserving and you have developed yourself. So what I need you to understand is that life on the other side of personal development, it isn't dark and gloomy. It isn't miserable. It isn't just you with your head down grinding. It's you feeling full gratitude for the man that you have become and knowing deep down in your heart that you have done everything in your power to live the life that you've always wanted to. And once you start living that life, once you feel the full effects of it, and once you start to love every little aspect of your life, you'll have so much gratitude, you'll be so thankful, and more importantly, you'll never, ever, ever want to go back. Your personal development journey, no matter what stage you're on, it starts with you watching and finishing this video. It starts with this point in time right now where you now understand what life can look like after personal development. Because I promise you, it is better than any high, it is better than any hookup, it is better than any drug in the world. Because finally, one day, that switch is gonna flip and you're gonna sit back and realize, holy shit, I finally fucking love myself. And that is the true power of personal development. It's not about just getting the good body. That's a byproduct. It's not about just feeling good in the mornings and waking up in the mornings. Those are all byproducts of the fact that you are now able to live a routine and live a lifestyle that you can be proud of and carry it on for the rest of your life. And that is why I've done this for so many people. That is why I even created my business in the first place, because I realized after I had developed myself so much and I had found this joy and happiness in life, I realized that I needed to share it with the world. And that's why I started posting on YouTube and talking in my fucking car and making all these videos for you guys. And that's the reason why I started taking Instagram more serious. And that's the reason why I launched my business, like I said. And that's why I love doing it for so many people, because everyone deserves to see that light. You deserve to see that light. So go on with your day, go on with your week, your month, your year, your life, knowing that after you develop yourself, life is a whole lot better. Life looks so beautiful. The smallest things in life, whether it be a simple walk, a grocery store trip, whether it be just spending time with your family and having a conversation with your phone down, all of those things, you'll find so much love and gratitude in them. And I promise you, it might not happen overnight. It might not take a day. It might not take a week. It might not take a month. But once you do it for a certain amount of time, you're going to find that life that you've always desired. And for once, you're going to truly feel what it feels like to love yourself. And that is the greatest feeling any man can ever feel. I love you guys so much. I hope this one was helpful, and I'd appreciate always if you subscribe, because a lot of you guys are not subscribed and you watch my videos, but genuinely appreciate you guys so much. And if you do want to join my team or work with me, the link is going to be down in the description for you guys to go ahead and book a call with me there. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.